Jay Leno has spent decades chasing motion, engines, stages, and endless car collections. For him, stillness was never an option. That drive shaped his life, career, and identity. From early nights as a struggling comedian to hosting one of television's most iconic late-night shows, Jay never paused. Motion wasn't just habit, it was survival. When faced with dangerous accidents, fire in his garage, a serious motorcycle crash, most people would have slowed down. But Jay approached life differently. Each setback became a test of resilience, a way to prove that movement, in its many forms, was essential to who he was. Early lessons in persistence. Long before television fame, Jay Leno learned the value of constant motion. Work wasn't just a career, it was life itself. He famously said, "I never had a job, I had gigs. If you don't work, you don't eat." This ethic drove him to chase stage time relentlessly, even sleeping in his car, showering at gyms, and performing multiple sets in one night. Comedy became a safety net, a structure he could control. Rejection and uncertainty didn't stop him. They fueled him. Motion became more than survival. It became identity. Leno's early grind cemented a principle he would carry through decades of success: comedy as control. For Jay, comedy wasn't just entertainment, it was a way to structure life. Stand-up offered immediate feedback, a measure of worth that felt tangible in uncertain times. When money was tight or the world seemed unpredictable, he could still get on stage and succeed. This discipline followed him to television. As host of The Tonight Show, Leno showed up early, worked late, and almost never slowed down. Staff and colleagues noted his relentless energy. He didn't perform for applause alone. He performed because the act of working and producing results was essential to his sense of purpose and control over life. Fire in the garage. In November 2022, Jay's lifelong commitment to motion collided with danger. While working on a 1907 steam car in his Burbank garage, gasoline sprayed onto his face and hands, igniting near a pilot light. Flames engulfed him in seconds. Friend and colleague Dave Cockey pulled him from the blaze, but not before serious damage occurred. Jay suffered second and third degree burns across his face, hands, and chest. He was rushed to the Grossman Burn Center in Los Angeles for multiple surgeries, including skin grafts from donor tissue. For many, this would have been a life-altering halt. For Jay, it was another moment to keep moving. Humor as a shield. Even in the face of serious injury, Jay's instinct was humor. He publicly downplayed the incident, joking about his appearance and the burns. "I looked like the Incredible Hulk if the Hulk shrank and aged badly," he quipped. But beneath the laughter, his approach revealed a deeper pattern. Performing and moving forward were inseparable from functioning. He returned to the stage just days after the fire, not because he was fully healed, but because stillness felt worse than the pain. Comedy wasn't just survival, it was a lifeline, a way to regain control when his body had been violently reminded of its fragility. The toll of constant motion. Doctors and friends urged caution. Burn recovery requires rest, monitoring, and time, a challenge for someone conditioned to keep moving. Yet Jay framed the fire differently. He didn't see himself as injured, he saw himself as functioning. Standing on stage, telling jokes, moving through routines, this was how he processed risk and maintained agency over his life. The incident exposed a new reality. Even a man built for motion had limits. The physical consequences of relentless momentum were now tangible, but Jay's mindset remained the same. Progress, performance, and purpose were inseparable from his identity. Motorcycle accident. A second warning. Just 2 months after the garage fire, Jay faced another serious accident. While testing a 1940 Indian motorcycle he had restored, he noticed a gasoline leak and pulled into a parking lot to inspect it. Without warning, a low wire, barely visible, intercepted his path. The bike threw him to the ground. The injuries were severe: a broken collarbone, fractured ribs, and cracked kneecaps. Unlike the sudden flames of the garage accident, this incident arrived quietly, leaving Jay incapacitated in ways he couldn't immediately mask. It was a stark reminder that even someone disciplined and driven could face consequence from unseen hazards. Resilience amid risk. Even after the motorcycle crash, Jay's instinct was to joke and perform. 2 shows tonight, regular and extra crispy, he quipped publicly. Humor remained his shield, but the pattern of relentless motion was now visibly dangerous. 2 serious injuries within months made it clear that the body could only endure so much. Yet for Jay, slowing down was not about ego or bravado. It was about realigning priorities. He recognized that physical limits existed even if his mindset didn't. The discipline that had carried him through decades of work now demanded adaptation for survival. Reframing purpose. In the wake of these accidents, Jay began to reconsider what motion meant. He didn't stop moving, but he shifted focus. Work remained central, but he now prioritized safety and presence in ways that weren't tied to applause or external validation. Where his career had been about making millions laugh, he began dedicating energy to one critical audience: himself. This quiet, deliberate realignment reflected a maturity forged through decades of movement, discipline, and risk. Momentum remained part of his identity, but the purpose behind it had evolved. A life of motion and meaning. Jay Leno's life illustrates the power and peril of relentless motion. From his early days as a struggling comedian to decades of television and automotive passion, movement was inseparable from identity. Accidents, pain, and physical limitations challenged that instinct, but did not break it. Humor, discipline, and a commitment to performing remained constant tools to navigate uncertainty. In recognizing his own limits while continuing to engage fully with life, Jay demonstrates a rare balance between momentum and mindfulness. Motion, for him, remains not just a habit, but a conscious choice. Legacy beyond the stage. Now, Jay approaches life with a different perspective. The fires and crashes that once could have halted him instead prompted reflection. While motion still drives him, it is guided by a focus on sustainability and personal meaning. Work and comedy continue to be integral, but so is self-care and presence. In an industry built on applause and visibility, Jay has found purpose in smaller, quieter victories: health, safety, and personal growth. His legacy is no longer just about engines, stages, and laughs, but about a life lived fully, deliberately, and resiliently. Conclusion. Moving forward, Jay Leno's story is one of persistence, humor, and adaptation. Accidents that could have ended his career became catalysts for reflection. He continues to move, but with awareness, prioritizing what truly matters. Through decades of work, risk, and public performance, he shows that motion is not just about activity. It is about identity, control, and purpose. Leno's journey reminds us that resilience is not the absence of setbacks, but the conscious choice to keep moving forward, finding meaning in each step, each laugh, and each moment of life's unpredictable course.